Stems are expensive. Slide that up too. Cook. He's under center. James Cook. What's up, guys? Oh, boy. What's up, Nails? What's going on, brother? I jumped in here a little early. I'm sure a lot of people are watching college football, but they can watch the rerun. Yeah, I gotta clean this fucking place. Holy shit. Did you guys see that Baylor game? Unreal. That fucking game. What's up, Jeff? Wow. Eagles. You thought he would win that fight? I had a bet in on Matthews. I didn't think there was a shot Wells was going to win that fight. I didn't think it was going to, honestly, the Matthews fight, I didn't think was going to be fun. I didn't think it was going to be a fun fight. I thought Matthews was just going to fight very, very safe and get the win. But I was pretty confident Matthews was going to win. I didn't have him in many lineups. I only had him in like 2 or 3 lineups, a couple lineups, not many. How many lineups did I have him in? Maybe 4? Not many, but I did expect him to win the fight, which sucks because I had a bet in on him. So we'll see what happens. We'll wait a couple minutes, like 1 more minute or 2. And then we'll get on this. I'd like to see Alabama win this game. I know that sounds terrible, but who you guys got in the Alabama game? Did you guys watch Bellator last night? What the hell's going on with my computer? Hold on a second. It's like glitching. My computer's glitching, but all right, it should be fine. Did you guys watch the Bellator fight last night with Horiguchi and Pettis? Man, what a fight! You got boxing on tonight too, guys. You got I think that Devin Haney tonight. So, all right, let's jump into it. Let's start talking. You know, people can watch it later. Let me pull up my sheet. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they should win. I mean, they really should win, but I don't bet against Saban. I never do. I never bet against Saban. Okay. So you guys can start off with questions. If you have any questions about the card, and then I'll touch on some stuff that I've noticed. Obviously, you guys know that Matthews and Wells fight is off. So I hope you guys adjusted your lineups accordingly. Matthews was in the bet pack as a bet also in the parlay. So the parlay's still alive. Obviously, it just gets knocked down 1 rung. So it's probably like a plus 700 opposed to like a plus 880, plus 750 maybe. I got to check. I got to do numbers on that. And then obviously the bet will just fall off the board. So that's it there. I don't know if I'm going to put something else in. I may, like as the card goes on. I like to see how the Smoker fight turns out. Maybe if Smoker ends up winning, I might, pop something in halfway through the card. If I do, I will pop that in Discord and tag everybody. A lot of people are saying that a lot of dogs are going to come out tonight. I'm not so certain about that. I mean, I think there's going to be plenty opportunity for dogs to come out tonight, and I hope they do. I like to see exciting card, but I think from a DraftKings perspective, we have a situation where there's a lot of mispriced guys. And unfortunately, when that happens, it's a double-ended sword. FanDuel question: buys as captain. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind buys as captain at all. I think a lot of people are playing off the narrative that Vilsmas, obviously that's her maiden name, is going through a lot of shit right now. I did watch some interviews with her where she was. They had to put her on like albuterol for her lungs. Also, the divorce. So a lot of people are playing into that a lot. As far as and listen, that's a real thing. I talk about that all the time. These people are human. They have personal lives outside. The only thing I will tell you with that is, do I think that she has the ability to be a very good sneaky captain? Yes, but I just can't tell you. Like, I'm not a crystal ball. I cannot tell you if the COVID, the effects, the lingering effects of COVID will creep into the cage tonight. I can't tell you that. It doesn't look like it will. She looked good during weigh-in. She looked healthy. Her skin tone looked good. Her weight cut was okay. So I think she's fine personally, and I think that she should really beat Martin here. And I think a lot of people might tail off of her a little bit because, excuse me, guys, I'm sorry, because of that factor, because of all those attributing factors. So yeah, I don't mind her at all in your captain spot. So what I was saying about the dogs is this is a bittersweet card, because pretty much like if there are going to be a lot of dogs chirping, you obviously have to go against your picks in some cases. You know what I mean? So that makes it kind of bittersweet, right? If you have a couple bets in here and you got to go against them there, it kind of makes it a little bittersweet. So you got to get uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable, but don't get too uncomfortable. I'm not expecting this whole card to be slithered with dogs. I'm going to tell you that right now. Will there be a couple dogs that pop out? Yeah. Are there going to be maybe, one or two more than usual? Maybe. But it's not going to be a card where it's slithered with dogs. I really don't see that. I see them being close competitive fights, but I don't see a card where like the whole card's going to be slated with dogs. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but that's just my honest take. So let's, what else you guys got? You guys got to have questions on this card. About pricing, I can't believe the Matthews fight is off. The Vandera fight's off, obviously, you guys know too. All right, let's talk about the Manfield fight. Menfield and Knight fight real quick. So obviously, I tell you guys all the time, you're looking for upside. Both of these guys have upside. Now, I know I tell you guys all the time to hedge when it's like 8,100 or 8,200, 8,000. This fight is 8,700, 7,500. I don't think it should be, but there is upside for a finish here. So whatever you guys play with Menfield, I think you should kind of hedge kind of close with Knight. And here's why. I'm not sold on either of these guys. The only reason why I flipped with Menfield, because the first time they were slated to fight, I actually took Knight. I picked Knight to win that fight. Now the reason why I flip with Menfield is because he's been more active. He's been showing me a little bit more. He's been making minor improvements. So those little minor improvements are enough to beat Knight, in my opinion. With that said, Knight's a tough dude. He's not out of this fight. There's plenty of paths. I'm not sold on Menfield. And you got to be careful with this fight. And here's why. I think it's going to get a lot of love because there is a lot of upside for a finish here. But there is also a situation I could see this fight just being a boring fight that goes to the decision. Like I could totally see that. So, be careful. Like, don't go all in on this fight just because they're two big guys. They got heavy, finishing rates. They're very untrustworthy guys, both of them. You don't know really what you're going to get. So I wouldn't go hard on this fight. I would definitely, you got to have your shares of them. 1000%. You got to have shares of them. I am leaning Menafield. He does have upside to finish, but I would taper it back maybe a little bit and tighten them up a little bit when it comes to the hedgeweight, just because I can see a situation where Menafield wins like a decision, like a real boring decision. They're just pinned up against the cage. He's not letting his hands go. Third round comes around. They both don't have a shitload of gas to finish each other. And it's just kind of a sloppy slobber knocker. So don't take that off the table. There is a very big possibility that does happen. Marangelli, what's up, dude? Look at this. I didn't even bet him. I like the dog. I like the underdog. So what do we got? Good advice on this fight, Lab? Like Menafield or finishing that fight? Yeah, like I said, I like Mike. I like. I'm picking Menafield to win the fight, but I'm not sold on him, and I'm not sold that this thing goes, inside the distance. I'm really not sold on it. So be careful. Don't be one of those guys who are just looking at their numbers and saying, "Well, look how jacked these guys are. Somebody's getting finished." It's not the case with these guys. Not the case. Wouldn't be shocked if Menafield finishes him in the first or vice versa. I'm just saying, be careful. Like, just be careful with this fight. Don't go all in like you're guaranteeing yourself a finish, because there's no guarantee with this fight is a finish. All right, so then we got talking another fight. Okay, so here's a fight that I usually kind of. What do we got? Yep. Here's a fight that I want you guys to pay attention to, and it is Manel Cap and Zumagulov. Obviously, you guys, if you look at the bet pack, you see that I have Manel Cap winning this fight, and I actually put a bet on him. Don't get too stark adjusted on that $9,400 price tag. Here's why. Like, I don't know. I don't think, personally, if I had a gun to head, I don't think Cap covers his value at 9,400, because I don't think he's going to finish Zumagulov. I think he wins the fight. I just don't think he finishes Zumagulov. So be careful there. Just because someone's in my bet pack, as a parlay piece or whatever, doesn't mean that that's going to be a finish. And just because he's $9,400 doesn't mean that he's gonna he's that big of a favorite. Zumagulov is very tough. He has he throws some good volume. He's jumpy. He's quirky. He's all over the place. Manel Cap's more of a flat-footed fighter. He's going to come in. He's going to try to throw some heat. Doesn't have a shitload of volume. He's getting better every fight, even though like he's not living up to his potential right now. But I wouldn't bank on him getting a finish here. I think Manel Cap wins this fight by decision, and I don't know if he covers his value. So careful with your lineups with this. Careful with your lineups. Don't get me wrong. If Manel Cap ends up knocking him out, he's probably going to be lower owned, and it'll probably be a good play. So I'm not saying fade him totally, because you got to pick your spots and take your chances. But I am telling you, don't expect Manel Cap to score big here. He's one of the guys in the higher tier area that I would look at a little bit less. Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis. Here's another one. $9,600 is a crazy price tag for Allen, but I do expect him to run roughshod on Curtis. I think Curtis had a great showing against Phil Hawes, but I think he's fighting over his head here. I think Allen is going to put it on him. I think there is upside for a finish here, and I think there is a situation where it's very hard to fit him in your lineups. So I think he's a really good cash game play. And in GPP, I would tell you, if you could fit him in, you're going to have to be very, very, very uncomfortable. with doing so, because you're going to have to dumpster dive a little bit. Just be strategic with your dumpster dives. You can put the Patolos and the Aldos, and you can take your swings on those guys and still manage to get him in there somewhere. I'm not saying go hard on him, but don't fade him just because he's 9,600. I know that I said in my article, it's a Habib price, and it is a Habib price, 9,600. But if he can get the transitions, he gets a couple takedowns, he can somehow submit him or club and sub him, he's going to cover. So just be very mindful of that. Like, just because he's 9,600 and he's overpriced, you got to remember, if it's turning you off, it's turning other people off. So you want to kind of jump out of that mindset. It's almost like the sheep mindset. When you play cash games, you want to play with the sheep. When you play GPPs, you want to read the sheep and kind of deter the other way. So just keep that in mind. I wouldn't fade Allen in cash, Nails. In cash, I wouldn't fade him. I think, I think he's probably one of the better plays in cash, if you can fit him. Because here's the thing, it's a double-ended sword that way too. If you put him in, you're still looking for guys that probably are going to lose. So it is a double-ended sword, but I do think he's a much better cash game play than he is a GPP play. Lab, on average, how many lineups are you building? I usually build between 10 or 15. That's my cap. I usually do about 10 or 15 lineups. That's usually my cap. And that goes for football too. Football, actually, I do a little less. I do from 7 to 10. That's it. And I usually stick within like 2 or 3 stacks, and then just build around those stacks. But in MMA, I do about 10 to 15, and that's it. And personally, me, if I'm going into something where there's like a tournament out there that there's 20, 200,000, or you can win $500,000. Yeah, I'll go into it. Maybe I'll throw like 20 or 30 in, but that's when I'll go and I'll use the optimizer. You know what I mean? But I use the optimizer as a streamline. What I'll do is I'll type my numbers in. Obviously, I do the projections over at Fantasy Lab, so they're kind of there already. I'll tweak them a little bit. I'll run them. I'll look at some lineups to get ideas on what it's spitting out to me, and then I'll alter it from there. I don't just go into the optimizer, spin the optimizer, and then whatever they give me, I run a CVC sheet on it. I don't do that. I look at a couple samples that my projections are giving me, and then I'll tweak them out, and I'll tweak them by hand. That's to me, that's the best way to do it. But I usually run anywhere between 10 and 15 lineups. I don't want too many low-owned dogs in cash. Yeah, no, it's fine. That's why you got to play cash. You got to play the higher end guys and then kind of deter off from there. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you guys why I'm on Fiziev in this fight against Rydell. And by no means do I think that Rydell is not a live dog here. He's an extremely live dog. This fight can go either way. I think it's priced correctly. Believe it or not, Fiziev price at 8,400 actually does scare me a little bit, because he's not a super high volume guy. But this is what kind of turned me towards Fiziev a little bit. And I'm not sure why people really didn't see this when they were, breaking this fight down. I didn't see many people talking about it. So when you look at these two guys and you look at Fiziev, when Fiziev first came out and he was doing those matrix, things, and everybody was like, this guy's the new breed. He's the new breed. He's the new breed. He's the new breed, right? I mean, we all seen it. Everybody on Twitter, he's the new breed. This is the new breed of striker, Fiziev. Nobody's going to beat this guy if he gets takedown defense, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So then he goes against Bobby Green and he looks human against Bobby Green. And in the third round, he starts to fade, and he starts to fade something severe. So everybody's just talking about the narrative of him fading. His cardio's not good. He fades, this and that. But what they don't understand is that the reason for that fade, now this is my assumption, okay? And they say don't assume, you make an ass out of you and me, but this is my honest opinion. It's not gospel, but this is why I think he faded so bad. We hear all the time when you're listening to Daniel Cormier and all these guys talk, what do they say? Like, they're wasting energy. They're wasting energy. Why is he wasting energy? They're not being economical with their strikes. They're not being efficient. You'll hear that word a lot, efficient. When efficiency is within your grasp, that's your fault. that you're not being efficient or economic, right? But when efficiency and economics aren't in your grasp, there's nothing you can do about it. There was no efficiency and economics in his grasp because of Bobby Green. Because Bobby Green is very hard to hit. He's all over the place. He's rolling his shoulder. He's moving around a lot. So basically, that whole fight, Fiziev was kind of chasing him like a greyhound chasing a rabbit, chasing him. And when he's chasing him, he missed a lot. Like if you watch that fight again, he was missing kicks, he was missing punches. All that takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy, and that is wasted energy, wasted punches. Even though it's not his fault, he's trying to hit the mark. You know, he's not wasting his punches by just throwing punches, but everything he's throwing was kind of missing Bobby Green. So at that point in time, it's like you're loading up and you're throwing and you're missing. That takes a lot of energy. So I think a lot of that energy that he was burning and the reason why he gassed out so bad was because of that. Because he was chasing the whole fight. Rydell don't fight like that. Rydell fights more in and out in the pocket. That's the way he fights, okay? And so what I mean by that, when he in and out, is means the target's going to be there for him to hit. It's not going to be all over the place. He's not going to be swinging, rolling his shoulder. He's going to be there from the hit. So the targetry for him is going to be more efficient, more economic. It's almost like a baseball bat, right? When you take the baseball bat and you swing the bat, if your hands are loose and you get that vibration, that sting, you're like, you shake your hands out. But if you get it on the meat of the bat and you don't even feel it, it just goes, you know? Same thing with striking. Striking is the same exact thing. So if you're missing, it takes more energy to, believe it or not, to miss than it does to hit. It takes a lot more energy. So I'm not expecting him to miss that much against Rydell. And Rydell is very hittable. Here's the thing on Rydell's side now. He's extremely durable. He's got the better cardio. He's got wrestling in his back pocket, but will he use it? And the only reason why I'm deterring away from him in this fight is I watched the Drew Dober fight over and over and over and over again. I kept watching the fight. And even though he won that fight, if you watch that fight and you watch as punches were being exchanged, anytime Dober hit him, you could see the effects were affecting him a lot more than his punches were affecting Dober. At the end of the fight, when Dober started gassing out a little bit, yeah, he stunned him. He put him back. But during that fight, when he was hitting Dober was kind of walking through him. And mind you, Dober's super durable. I get it, but anytime he hit Rydell would get stung and Rydell would back up. Now in the first round, Dober clipped him with a straight shot, not an uncorked shot, not a cross, not a hook, nothing, not an uppercut. He hit him with a straight right, and Rydell dropped. Dober just didn't finish him. I just think in this fight, Fiziev's strikes are going to look to the judges like the more dynamic, the crisper, the harder shots, which is probably going to give him the edge in the fight. However, the only thing I'm not certain of is this thing goes to the cards. I think this fight might go to the cards, and that's when you might be dancing with a little bit of danger, as far as scoring wise. But I do have a slight confidence that one of these guys can finish each other. I do have a feeling that one of these guys can finish each other. So I'm not taking that off the table. I'm just telling you, sometimes the pricing of fighters can kind of really bolster you on them. Like you're looking at Rydell sub 8,000. You're like, oh my God. And it is a good price. It's a great price for him because he's super durable and he's probably going to last. Same thing with Fiziev. Oh my God, with his dynamic of striking, 8,400, it's a great price. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna cover. It doesn't mean that one guy's gonna knock the other out. They're gonna be very strategic in the beginning. Both of these guys are very high caliber strikers. I'm just going with Fiziev because I think he has a little bit more. Did he score again? Oh my goodness, Bama scored again. So and to be honest with you, and Josh, to your point. I do think Fiziev has more power, of course, than Dober because he's more efficient with his strikes. He's very, very economical. He knows how to generate power, and he knows Drew Dober's. Listen, the thing that generates a lot of power with Drew Dober is his hips because his legs are so big. He knows how to drive his hips. He's got very good range striking. But at the end of the day, in the very beginning of Drew Dober's career, he wasn't known as a striker. He was much more known as a more of a wrestler, more of a grappler. Believe it or not, he was. He's coming to his own with his striking. Fiziev is a lifelong striker. This guy knows how to generate his hips. This guy knows how to generate power from every angle. He knows how to cut off the cage. So, I just see him generating a little bit more, showing a little bit more. If he gasses out, he probably loses this fight, because I could see Rydell coming back from the depths of hell and winning this fight. He's been there more. He's felt the lungs on fire. He's felt the damage. He's been clipped and put down and got back up. Like, he's been there before. But I just think I'm laying my theory on the economics and the non-efficiency against Bobby Green. Bobby Green will make you tired, because Bobby Green will frustrate you and make you chase him. So, that's what I'm banking on. I think it's a super close fight. I don't think you can go wrong either way. I'm going to have a little bit more on Fiziev, but I'm also going to back up on them a little bit, because I do see that fight possibly going to the cards. I saw that, Nails. Another fucking Alabama TD. I'm not even an Alabama fan. I'm actually pushing for Michigan for Bush, because Bush is a diehard Michigan fan. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, so let's go back to this. Guys, you can ask questions whenever you want. I'm just going through some things right now that I'm seeing, but any questions you have, please ask them. Okay, let's talk about Guida and Santos. Actually, Georgia can't stop the passing game. Yeah, good. Roll Tide. Guida versus Santos. All right. How can I say this? I love Clay Guida as a fighter, and I love what he stands for. He's one of the only guys in MMA that, as he gets older, he doesn't need to change his game, and that's. Oh, I thought that was fucking Alabama again. He doesn't need to change his game, right? And what I mean by that is that usually when fighters get older, what do? They gotta change their game, or they gotta change their weight class, or they gotta manipulate something in their game to be conducive and playing concert with their body at the age they are at now. And I try to talk in more like a biological sense, because that's how I'm educated. But I'll throw scenarios out there, like analogies like this, to be a little bit more understandable. So when you look at guys like Rashad Evans, Rashad Evans, great, one of the all-time greats. So towards the end of his career, he had to find something that was going to work with his body and work with his age. So what did he do? He started class jumping, going this class, going to this weight class, going to that weight class. Clay Guida's never had to do that. Like, Clay Guida leans on his cardio to depths that are ridiculous. I mean, this guy's cardio is just ridiculous. And as you get closer to the end of your career, the UFC is going to start matching you guys up with guys more your age, more your caliber, which works in his favor, because as he gets older and as his cardio stays the same, a lot of these guys, their cardio and their body start breaking down and they start dipping. So, but the problem with him not changing his game is that he still has the same holes in his game that he's had 10 years ago. And that is exposure. Like, he exposes himself way too much. And that's just from his reckless pressure style. That's just what he does. And when you look at, historically, his resume, this is a guy who will, he does this, he stabs you, he does this, he stabs you, then he gets in on your hips and he pressures you in. If he can get you down, he can get you down. But he's very herky-jerky, and there's nothing tied together fundamentally well with his striking. No matter how long this guy tries, he's just not built that way. His genetic and his athleticism isn't wired to be like this real fluid, striker where this is him. Watch him fight tonight. He just goes like this. And part of it's because of his hair. It gives it that more of an effect, but that's really what he does. He just bobs back and forth, and then he goes in on your hips. So when you look at that and you look at his recklessness, now he's going against a guy in Santos that, he took time off. He came from 2016 to 2019. This guy never fought. Okay, 41 years old. You could look at that as, okay, he rejuvenated his body a little bit, or you could look at it as he's still 41 years old. The guy's a super high pedigree black belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and the guy's a very good striker. My issue with him, though, is his cardio. His cardio is not what it used to be, and that's normal for a 41-year-old guy. And his cardio is going to have to be there in this fight. However, I just can't get out of my mind the situation where, hold on. I just can't get out of my mind a situation where he does his stabbing, and I'm not saying that Santos is going to knock him out, but I could see Santos stinging him with something, coming in, dropping him to a knee, snatching up like a guillotine, and fucking ending his night, or taking his back and ending his night. So, like, I'm a little bit higher on Santos than I was in the beginning of the week, and it's kind of a really big boom or bust situation. But this is why I like the guys that are 88, 89, 8,700. This is why I like them. I tell you guys all the time, especially on a card like this, where there's going to be a little bit, there's going to be, a little more sharper people on there. It's not going to be a lot of casuals because the card's not that big, right? Okay. So the reason why I like the spots like this is because you got to be sharper than the sharp. And what I mean by being sharper than the sharp is a lot of these guys are going to go up to the 9,000 price range, and they sit up in the 9,000 price range. Then they go down. First of all, we all know that majority of tournaments are one in the middle, right? Okay, but the guys in the 89, 88, 87 price range, they kind of get overlooked a little bit because the mindset of people are, all right, well, listen, I can pay 8,800 for Santos, but I can go up and pay 9,200 for Crute, or I can pay 9,000 for Shan buys. That's fine. You could spend that extra $200, but you're going to be with a lot more company. Where I think where somebody like Santos, who has the upside to finish Guida, because we've seen Guida finish numerous times, in a situation like that, or put in bad situations like that, where, he can be that little cherry on top under 9,000. So, I like Santos in this spot. I think there's upside for him to finish. If this goes into the third round, I'm going to tell you right now, Guida probably wins the fight. That I'll tell you. Unless Santos is up 2 rounds to nothing and Guida's just hanging in there. But if this is a close fight going into the third round, you got to think Guida's going to win the fight. I'm hoping it doesn't. My chips on Santos on DraftKings are going to be hoping that he gets this done within a round and a half. And if he doesn't, I'm going to be chewing my nails. But you got to play the upside. So don't overlook Santos. That's all I'm going to say. Like, don't go like, oh my God, Santos is God. But just don't overlook him, because at the end of the day, Guida's on a run. Guida's doing good. They're both, he's 41. Guida, I think, is 38, 39. They're both old. One of these guys can come into the fucking cage tonight and completely just show that they're old. So, this is not a solid play, like a confident play at all. I'm just giving you guys the outlook on what I think can happen and what I think is going to happen. So I think Santos does have the upside to finish Guida here, and that's what I'm rolling with. Is physically powerful. We were talking about Cody on Thursday on this. Yeah, Cody Garbrandt, yeah, but that was another fight I was talking with Cody. You want let's pull that up real quick. The Cody fight was more for, I was talking about Cody. You mean with the weight class jumping? I think yes, I was. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's go to now. This fight is tearing at my heartstrings. I got to be honest with you, because I can't figure this out for the life of me. And it is the Barberena fight, which I believe it was Nails. Oh no, it was Eagles 1985 that brought this up just now. And I can't understand this for the life of me. I don't know if I'm missing something. I don't know what it is, but it's frightening me a little. It's frightening me a little bit. I know Brian Barberena. You know what I mean? Through my cousin. My cousin's very good friends with him, and I became a fan of him initially through that. Like, your family member or your friend, is that's the way with Jimmy Rivera and all these guys, But after watching him fight and seeing just the heart and the gall that this guy has, it's like undeniable. How do you not like Brian Barberena? His fight with Vicente Luque, like all these wars he's been in. The problem with that is that comes at a price. All those wars come at a cost. And if that's the only reason, that's the only way you know how to fight, that cost is going to come sooner than later. I still don't understand why he's so close. Like, why this fight is so close. I don't like. I think Brian Barberena is the rightful film. I watch film on this guy weeks. I know he's athletic. I know he's good. He looks good on film. But when you look at Barberena, like, he's fought so much good competition, and this guy has pushed much better fighters, to the brink of exhaustion and the brink of like that dark place, almost like a Justin Gaethje, that they either sink or they either swim. But that's also with Brian Barberena. If he drags the fighter to that place, he's either going to sink or he's going to swim. Now, he looked horrible in his last fight. I'm not even going to deny that. He looked horrible in his last fight, and his takedown defense has never been good. So that does bother me a little bit. But I look at this fight, like, if he loses this fight, like, you almost got to think like he's gonna go, like, he's got to go, like, he's probably gonna get like cut soon. I mean, look at all the cuts that they're doing. Look at all the people they're letting go. You know what I mean? So I think you can expect a few guys to be let go from this card. To be honest with you, I mean, they're really trimming the fucking fat here. Even if you watch Bellator last night, some of the guys that the UFC had that they cut Sergio Pettis, they cut Spike Carlisle, they cut, like, a lot of these guys were good fighters. Like, they're not bad fighters. Just because they're over in Bellator or PFL, it doesn't mean they're Chris Wade. Like, look at some of the guys that they have cut. They've cut some good guys, really good guys. Even Mike Perry, not good, but exciting. So why wouldn't they cut Barberena if he loses this fight against Weeks? Like, they might. So I think it's a very important fight for him. I do. I think it's a very important fight for him. And I don't know if I'm missing something or if the line in DraftKings is totally off, with this. That's why I didn't put a bet in on Barberena here, because something just smells very fishy to me. Like, I don't know something. Maybe he's dealing with something I don't know about, that my cousin doesn't know. I don't know. But by all rhymes and reasons, I mean, common sense, common knowledge will tell you, like, Barberena, like, take a swing on Barberena. Like, what has this guy really proven to you that he can go into deep water with Barberena? That he's going to last with Barberena? Why? Because he's 6-0 or 5-0, whatever he is. Like, that means that he's going to be able to go, 3 hard rounds with Barberena? Doesn't. So I do have him in some spots. I do, because I think that it could be a situation where, like, they just got it wrong. Like, they just completely got it wrong. So I would definitely not completely overlook that and look into the numbers too much, but I would look into it enough to say, listen, if DraftKings and Vegas is looking at this like it's a closer fight than it should be or looks, maybe it is. No, I didn't talk about the tragic. I'll talk about that right now. The Aldo fight. All right, so let's talk about that. Now, some of you may not like what I'm going to say here, but I'm just going to speak the truth, because I always do with you guys. Jose Aldo, I have a very big love-hate relationship with him. I loved him his whole career. I looked up to him. This is a guy who won 18 straight fights in a row. Not many people can say that. He was at one time ranked as the pound-for-pound king. And he really was. Like, if you guys, those of you who watched back in the day, like, nobody can touch Jose Aldo. Like, the way people looked at Conor McGregor after he beat Aldo, like, when he went on that little run, like, people looked at Aldo that way. Like, nobody was beating Aldo. And when he lost that fight to McGregor, which I put that in as an asterisk, lasted 6 seconds or whatever it lasted, he completely lost his way. He lost all his confidence. And I could say that because I've watched him, I've studied him, I've seen all his personality changes. Like, he turned into Renan Barão. The same thing happened to Renan Barão. The only difference between, and if you don't know who Renan Barão was in a similar situation where he was like on a 15, 16 or whatever it was fight win streak. He ends up losing, but legitimately losing to TJ Dillashaw, and he just never bounced back. Still to this day, Renan Barão just never bounced back. And Renan Barão was great. And after that fight, he just never bounced back. The difference between Aldo is Aldo bounced back. And people think like, oh, well, maybe it's because he was injuries riddled, or no. It was a confidence thing. And the reason why I say it was a confidence thing is because if you watch his fight with Jeremy Stephens, now you got to remember, this is a guy who fought everybody. I mean, Jose Aldo fought fucking everybody. Fighting and beating Jeremy Stephens for him is not that big of a deal. I respect Jeremy Stevens. I think Jeremy Stevens is a good fighter, but it's not that big of a deal. When he beat Jeremy Stevens, they had fucking Jose Aldo on their shoulders. They were fucking praising him. The king is back. The king is back. He was hands on his face. He was crying. It was almost like he accomplished something that he never, like he won an Olympic gold medal. That was him saying, I beat my conscience. Like I overcame this fear of losing. I've overcome that. Like I questioned myself so much. Am I ever going to be the same again? Maybe I'm not the same anymore. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. When he won that fight, it was like a big monkey off his back. And if you look at the fights that he's fought since then, he went down a weight class, went back down to bantamweight. He's fought killers. I mean, he's literally fought killers. The guy he's losing to, when he does lose, they're killers, and nobody's washing him. Nobody's like completely washing him. I mean, listen, he beat Pedro Munoz. People were saying Aldo's chin, he's going to get knocked out. His chin looks fine to me. Did he look a little drained in weigh-ins? Yeah, he did. But he always does. That's one thing about him. He always does. And the way he loses this fight is if he doesn't implore his leg kicks. Now, I've been following his trajectory. That's what made Jose Aldo was his leg kicks. And I've been following his trajectory little by little on how he's imploring them. And little by little, he's bringing them back into his game. I don't know if it's because that's just another step in his confidence. He needs to get his hands down. Now he's going to start firing the leg kicks. Maybe he was afraid that someone's going to scoop the leg and take him down. I don't know. But they're starting to come back a little bit. He's starting to let leather go a little bit more. He's starting to let his legs go a little bit more. And he's going to need that against Font. Another issue I have with Aldo is that Aldo preached to the choir. He made this public that he did not want to fight 5 rounds anymore. He didn't want to fight 5 rounds anymore. This was back when, like, Jeremy Stevens, like, he didn't want to fight 5 rounds anymore. So that told you what? What did that tell us? That told us that this guy did not want to fight for a championship no more. He just wanted to fight, because you're not fighting for a championship belt unless you're fighting 5 rounds. So it was almost like he was accepting the fact, like, maybe I am getting older and maybe I'm just going to fight as much as I could and make some money. I don't want to take the damage anymore. My cardio's not that good. Just keep me on the main card, but 3 rounds. I'm fine with 3 rounds. Then as he started to progress and started to beat these guys, he started to realize, I'm not done yet. Like, I'm not old. I'm not done yet. Maybe in fighting years I'm a little older, but I'm still young. I'm not done. So now he's accepting these fights, which means now he does have a target in mind. He does have that belt in mind. He does want to make another run, which is good because the confidence is back now, Jose Aldo. But he's got to employ the leg game. As far as Rob Font, people are saying that this guy's like prepared for 5 rounds. He's made for 5 rounds. And maybe he is. He hasn't fought that many 5-round fights, though. And he sure as hell has never fought Aldo. Now, if you look at the win streak that he's on, he beat Garbrandt. Okay. Garbrandt's extremely chinny, and he's just not the same. Didn't knock him out either. So, he's not a real huge, power striker. Marlon Moraes, another guy, chinny. The guy just became chinny overnight. So he's beating guys. I mean, he's beating names, but what are the caliber of names that he's beaten? Look at them. Like they were names. They were big names. Garbrandt was a big name. Moraes was a big name, but he was catching them when we were all questioning them, questioning their chin, questioning if they don't have it anymore. He's fighting a guy now that we were questioning a while ago. We're not questioning anymore. Like, I'm not questioning Aldo anymore. And the thing with Aldo is this: if he loses this fight, probably not going to get another run at the crack at going, getting a title shot. Like that, this is it. Like, this is his run. Like, this is where Jose Aldo's got to make the run. If he wants another crack at that title, it starts here. He's got to win this fight, and then Aldo's all of a sudden back in that talk. If at the point of his career now, if he loses, he's taking a step back. Period. End. The guy's going to take a step back. So I think Font is very live here, because I do think there is a situation where you're going to see a very high octane fight. You're going to see Jose Aldo a little faster. He's probably going to be tying more punches together, more punches and bunches, they say. Font will probably sting him a couple times, but if his cardio is not there, then I can see a situation where Font starts running away with it late, running away with it midway through the fourth into the fifth. He steals the decision. But I'm still going to go with Aldo. Like, I'm not going to doubt Aldo anymore until Aldo shows me that he should be doubted. Aldo should not be doubted right now. Just for the mere fact that the fights that he did, I mean, he lost to Peter Yan. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's not nothing to be ashamed of. He lost to fucking Peter Yan. You know, so I look at that as, okay, the guy still has it. The guy's beating everybody. The guy's fought everybody. Against Rob Font, great fighter, coming into his own, but prove to me that you're washed before I pick against you. So if you're giving me Jose Aldo at plus money, I'm going after it. I'm going to go after and take my shot. You're giving me one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time who looks like he's coming back into his own, who looks like he's having a little rejuvenation. I'll take my chances. I'm not saying he's going to win. I think it's going to be a super close fight, and it's a fight that probably you probably shouldn't even bet. But I just know I would hate myself that him at plus money, I'm not going to bet. And the same thing goes with DraftKings. If you're giving me Jose Aldo after what you showed me now, not what you showed me when you were on a 3-4 fight losing streak when you had no confidence. If you're giving me Jose Aldo, the Jose Aldo 2.0 that you're giving me now and telling me that he's under 8,000, I'm going to have plays on him. Like I would hate myself if Jose Aldo comes in here and he looks like Jose Aldo. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, I was so overweight on Font. So I'm picking Aldo to win this fight. He's got to prove it to me. He's got to prove it to me that he's washed. If he proves it to me this fight, I'll reassess things. But prove to me that you're not the Jose. This ain't Jose. Prove to me that this is smoke and mirrors. If this is smoke and mirrors, then I'll reassess playing you in other situations. But right now, I'm leaning heavier towards Aldo. I'm going to have more of Aldo, but I will be tightening that gap with Font. You cannot have one and not the other. Aldo should pay off unless Font starches him. Yeah, and I don't see Font starching him. I really, really don't. I don't think he possesses that kind of power. He's a volume guy. He's going to lay it on you in fucking volume, and he's going to knock you out. I don't see him doing it in one shot. You know what I mean? I don't. But we'll see what happens. As far as the Hill fight, I got Crute here, and here's why. I think Hill is a really good fighter, and all fights start on the feet. So he's going to have 3 chances to keep this standing. First round, second round, third round. If Crute does what Crute is supposed to do, it should hit the canvas kind of quick. He should be able to take it. Wow, they tied it up. He should be able to take him down to the ground and be able to control him. Hill's takedown defense is not good. If Hill can't keep it on the feet, Hill's going to have problems. However, now, if Crute comes out and Crute is playing the hand game with him, or he's afraid to shoot on him because he doesn't want to get stung coming in, Crute's going to lose the fight. And he might even get knocked out because Hill does have very accurate striking, good range finding, and he's got good power. So I can see Crute getting knocked out. The thing that people are sleeping on Crute is this. They brought him into the UFC and they were, listen, anytime you bring a young kid into the UFC and you throw him into a fight against Anthony Smith, the people that put Jimmy Crute against Anthony Smith, they should have been fucking banned from speaking. Like that was such a ludicrous fight to give that kid that it was ridiculous. Like I'm never like all in on somebody, and I was so all in on Anthony Smith because I said, listen, if this kid is going to be Anthony Smith, then fucking God bless him. But there's no way you're taking a kid that raw and you're putting him in a main fucking spot against a guy who's been there against everybody, who's still young, who just is having a little bad luck. And Smith showed you what he did to him. The fight against Serkinov, a little bit different. But Jimmy Crute beats the guys he's supposed to beat. And I don't see I think he's better than what people think because of the Anthony Smith thing. I think they're looking at the Anthony Smith fight way too deeply. Way too deeply. You put Anthony Smith against Hill, and Anthony Smith is chewing Hill up for days. So this is a much better matchup for him. And I think that if he takes him to the ground, he wins the fight. And I think he could possibly score well too if he continues the rinse and repeat effect. Because I think Hill is only averaging like 55 to 60% takedown defense, which it means every other shot he's getting taken to the ground. So it really depends on Crute. Crute's going to win or lose this fight. That I'll tell you. It's up to him to win this fight. It's up to him to lose this fight. He's in more control of this fight than Hill is. Let's talk about this one real quick. This is one of the fights where I'm going to tell you guys, like, usually I tell you to split even, right? And if you look at the DraftKings on this one, you're probably going to say to yourself, wow, like this is one of the first times I saw Lab go off that tangent. Usually when it's 81-81, I tell you to split it in half, 82-8, split it in half. I'm leaning a little harder on one side in this one. I think Puelles should be a little bit more of a favorite here against Grutzmacher. I know he's very unproven, and I know that like really all he has is a ground game. And I know Grutzmacher is super, super tough and super, super gritty. And if it stays standing, Grutzmacher is probably going to drag him into hell and beat him. I get all that. But there's something about Puelles that I do like, and I think that Grutzmacher's biggest deficiency is his grappling, and that's his biggest strong suit. Puelles' strong suit is his grappling. So at 8,000, even still being the dog on this side, where Grutzmacher is the favorite at 8,200. I like Puelles a little bit more. So I'm going to be leaning on Puelles a little bit more. I'm going to have more weight than I usually do on a fight that's 8,000, 8,200. I'm not going to be fading Grutzmacher, by any stretch of the means, but I will have more weight on Puelles. I think that he does have upside to get a possible submission here. And then one more fight I want to talk about, and then I'll take a couple more questions before we go off, is I want to talk about Smolka and Morales. I think Smolka is, you got to be very, very, I'll talk about that too, Nels Patolo. I think Smolka is an interesting play. I think he's a very interesting play in this spot. I think I like Smolka. I actually have a bet on Smolka. This is a kid who fought alcoholism. He's had a host of problems, but he's super, super talented. And he looked really, really good on the scale. I think he's another one that's in a really sticky situation here where, he's got to win this fight. Morales is tough. Morales throws good heat and stuff like that. I do get it. But I just think this is a spot for. If you look at Smolka fought some really good guys. And now look where he is on the card. He's like hanging from the last rung. He loses this fight, he's probably going to fall off the ladder. He's going to fall off the rung. So I think this is a fight that he needs to win at $8,500. I think, he throws with enough heat in his leather, enough power, and his grappling game is very good, where I could see him possibly finishing Morales here. I could see him, getting finished too, because he's very Jekyll and Hyde. And you got to be very careful with this fight, because I do believe it's the first fight of the night. But I do like him. I do like Smoke here at $8,500. I will have some weight on him. And I'm hoping, I'm right about that. I'm hoping he comes in dialed in and he doesn't have all this mental shit going on. You got to have some of Groot. Yeah, I don't fade Grutzmacher totally. I'm just saying that normally what I'll tell you to do is go 50-50 when they're priced like that. I'm just going a little bit more on Puelles' side for this fight. So I'm kind of going against what I told you when I always say like 50-50 when it's 81-81 or 82-8. I'm going more like maybe 65-35 or 60-40. That's basically all. Yeah, Smoke is good for you. Well, actually, I don't know if Smoke. So I like him in cash game, but I don't think a lot of people are going to give him a lot of love tonight, to be honest with you. All right, and then the last fight we'll talk about the Maki Pitolo fight. I picked Maki Pitolo as a dog here. So did Showdown Christine. She's on Maki Pitolo as well. I don't know where she is. I don't think she's on the stream. But she took Maki Pitolo as well for her live dog pick. The thing with this fight is this. This is why I picked him. I don't think Maki Pitolo is overall a really good fighter. I don't think he's a good fighter. But he's got a stylistic way about him that will give Todorovic problems. And the thing I notice about Todorovic is that he's one gear. He shows no emotion. He shows no desperation. He's literally one gear. And if that gear works for him, he's going to win the fight. But if you surpass that gear or you try to bring him down a gear or bring him up a gear, he doesn't know how to get out of that gear. It's just Todorovic. And we know Pitolo has another gear. He has a gear that he will push you. He will get in on your hips. He will take you down. He will throw a lot of heat. He doesn't have the name Coconut Bombs for nothing. And I don't think that Todorovic is going to be able to, I think he's going to get a little lost in translation. And I think he's used to he doesn't make adjustments. He just comes in and does what he does. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to be kind of strategic in the beginning. I think Pitolo's going to realize like this guy ain't making adjustments. He's not making changes. He's not changing speed. Does he hit with power? Yeah, he hits with a lot of power. But I think I'm going to be able to find my way in. I'm going to be able to grind this one out. So I'm going with Pitolo here. I think he's a good play. I don't have much of Todorovic at all. Could be a big mistake. But like I said, you got to pick and choose your spots here. And I just think that Patolo is going to be able to put more of a heater on him. And in the eyes of the judges, that's going to show. And if there's going to be a finish here, I think it's going to be on the Patolo side. So I think he's a fine play, under 8,000. And if you want to take a couple swings at Todorovic as well, I got no problems with that. I mean, at the end of the day, the kid does hit with a ton of power. I've seen him knock numerous people out. Maybe he does find that other gear tonight. I don't know. But from what I see, the matchup just favors Patolo a little more. That's it, my man. All right, guys. Well, we have what? Oh, we got a while. All right, so we got like an hour. Go set your lineups. Go do what you got to do. Watch college football. Relax. We have a long night ahead of us. Fights start at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Main card 10 p.m. And like I said, I'm going to be in Discord all night. Depending on how the bet pack starts shaping up, I will probably maybe play something live because Matthews is out. I don't know. I got to see. I'm not a chaser. If we start losing, I don't chase. I don't want you guys to chase. I will only pull triggers on things if we're up and we're playing with house money. So that's the way we're going to roll with that. But and then there's a boxing fight tonight too. I think Devin Haney's fighting tonight, so I'll be watching that afterwards after I go and get a snack. So I'll be on all night hanging with you guys. For all you guys that aren't going out tonight, you guys are watching the fight tonight. Let's watch it together. Let's have some fun. Good luck. Let's see some fucking money won. Let's get some money for Christmas. Let's have a good time, guys. All right. I'll talk to you soon.